So let's talk about circle graphs. When you look at a circle graph, it's going to be divided into the categories chosen. Clearly, the one chosen the most is going to have a bigger piece of the pie. When you look at this, what should be the total percentage? What should be the total amount for the whole thing? Well, the answer is 100%. So if I want to figure out what is entertainment, I'm going to take all my current percentages, 60 plus 20 plus 15 would give me 95. If the whole thing is supposed to be 100, that means the leftover is 5%. Now, how much money did Riley spend on entertainment? They spent 5%, but how much money is that? So to figure out if the whole budget was $5,000, so if this whole thing represents $5,000, how much is 5%? So for number 2, to solve that, we're going to do 5% out of 100. The whole amount is 5,000. How much did they spend? So this takes us back to our part whole number percent 100. 100 times n is 100n. 5,000 times 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. Add 3 zeros. We now need to divide by 100. Cross out, and your answer is $250. So the budget, how much you spent on entertainment, was $250. To find out how much more money was spent on housing than on food, you could do this same process for housing, and then do the same thing for food, and then how much more tells you to subtract. Or you could work smarter, not harder. We could first figure out, so that for number 3, if housing was 60%, how much more is it than food of 20%? Well, it's a 40% difference. So now instead of doing it for both of them, I could do it for the difference of them. Again, we have 100n. 4 times 5 is 20. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Divide by 100. And your answer is 2,000. That means they spent $2,000 more on housing than on food. Another way to solve circle graphs is when you are given the numbers and you need to find the percentages. So in this one, things chosen are sports, history, English, and math. We have 20 for math, 30 for English, 105 for sport. So how could I figure out how many were for history? Well, right here it tells you if 200 students were surveyed. So that means out of 200, we have 105 and 30 and 20. So that's 155. If there's 200 students, that means those choosing history are going to be 45. Okay, so from here, what percent chose sports? Well, sports, first of all, I have to find out if this is 45 right here. Okay, just to make sure all matches up. But now I know what percent chose math. Well, math is the purple one. That's 20 people. That's not 20%. So I'm going to do the same thing. Part, whole, number, percent, 100. But this time I'm looking for the percent. The percent is my n. Out of 200 people, And we're talking about math, and math is 20. I could cross multiply again. 200 times n is 200n. 20 times 100, well, 2 times 1 is 2. Add 3 zeros. Two goes into 20, and my answer is 10. 10%. To know what percent chose sports, I would do the same thing. I would draw my box. Out of 100%, I'm looking for the percent that chose sports. Sports, the number is 105 out of all 200. 200 times n is 200n. 105, add 2 zeros. Divide by 200. Cross out, cross out. 2 goes into 10, 5 times. 2 goes into 5, 2 times, that's 4 with 1 left over. So it's going to be a half.